Welcome everyone. This is Roger Salon, welcoming you to another webinar with the Winner's Circle. It is my great pleasure today that I have with you one of my oldest platinum member of the Winner's Circle. So as you can see, I talk about relationship building, that everything starts with a business relationship, and when the relationship becomes friendship, that's when it becomes no longer business. It becomes an inseparable relationship in personal and in business life, because now from business to relationship now with family, that my family, he comes to Bangladesh and stays with my family. I go to California and stay with his family, so I'm bringing you that kind of a trusted relationship with you today. And obviously he is David T. Fagan, chairman and founder of Icon Builder Media. And today he's going to talk about one of the things that I believe is the most absolutely, in terms of building your brand and your business, it's critical, your celebrityhood, so to say, that what will make that his core competency is making you an icon in your space. Without this tool, chances are you will not, nobody will take you seriously, whatever your subject matter is. So I'll let if you've been with me, you know David already well, his credentials and everything else. So we have a very short time. This is not a long, drawn out, like a 90-minute webinar. It's going to be less than an hour. And I've asked him, because more and more people from my organization or my tribe are looking for this as a strategy. So the interest level has been peaking. So I said, timing is right, David. I need help because this is not my core competency. So with that, I'm going to make David the presenter so that you can see him. And he has some incredible resources that he's going to share with you also. And as you can see from the brand, that today's topic is how to become a fully paid, highly paid author to boost your brand and your business. So now, as you can see on the screen, it's David who's going to take over the presentation from here. And then I'm going to make you a very special offer that's absolutely just for my tribe. So with that, and David, are you there?
I am. Thank you.
All right, David. So thank you again. I know how busy you are, and in between your filming, your studios, now that you have your own TV show, why don't you first, before you get into the presentation, tell us what has happened, what's going on, what's your primary focus, where are the growth coming from, so that since my tribe heard you last, the incredible growth that you've had, the accolades that you have received, update us on your personal growth, your company growth, before you dive in. Is that all right?
Sure, sure. And we'll make it really quick.
Yeah.
So I have a company called Icon Builder Media. It's out of Beverly Hills, California. What we do is we make people icons in their industry, and we do that through a lot of branding, websites, books, magazines, maybe even getting somebody their own TV show. And of course, I practice what I preach. I'm also a best-selling author myself. I write a column for the Beverly Hills Times magazine, a print magazine in Beverly Hills, one of the last one of its kind. I also host my own cable TV show on Time Warner Cable and Verizon Fios Channel 45 here in California, called The Hollywood Entrepreneur. And on The Hollywood Entrepreneur, we essentially teach business and entrepreneurialism through the successes and the failures of celebrities. So, we're talking about everything from, Kim Kardashian to Donald Trump to Judge Judy to Tony Hawk, to athletes and their big shoe deals to singers and their restaurants and their clothing lines. And we're talking about their brand and their success.
Those are all the successes, but you also bring some of their big failures. What are the lessons there also? Because these are obviously big, huge names in the world, not just in Hollywood.
Correct, correct. As a matter of fact, sometimes we're talking, we probably spend more talking about their failures than their successes. But yeah, no, we can learn from those things, and we will. So yeah, so that's kind of what I do. You know, I travel around internationally speaking. You know, one of my passions is doing young entrepreneur events. You know, I have a premier young entrepreneur summer camp that's been featured in Forbes magazine, and that's a passion of mine as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and what I do.
Awesome. So let's, for our tribe, go dive into our why should they become an author to begin with, and perhaps those of us, and then of course don't know where to start, where to even begin, and some of us are authors, but don't know how to really maximize our authorship or monetize our authorship. So all of these are the kind of quick, if you can help us educate on these.
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, what I've done is I've put together a few slides here that are really going to kind of help people understand this in order. So, you know, this is one of my favorite quotes out there: "Be so good they can't ignore you." This is a big fundamental belief in what I teach, what I do, the power of having a celebrity brand. And so, you know, it just kind of gets people thinking the right way. And I kind of follow that up with what I call the law of the war chest. And this is really important for people to understand. You know, yes, there's a lot to be said for collaboration. Yes, there's enough out there for everybody. But at the same time, we have to realize that people only have so much money, so many resources to fight the battle of day-to-day business and life. And so in that sense, you are competing for that. And there's this question that other people are asking to you. And they might be asking it just kind of subconsciously in their heads. They may not have the exact words. They might literally be saying the words and asking this question. It's a big question, but yet it's only 2 words. And here's the question. This is the big question everybody wants to know. Why you? Why you and not somebody else? Why you and not something else? You know, why you and not doing anything else at all? You know, you really have to come up with an answer, and typically that answer is a list of your accomplishments. You know, what have you accomplished that qualifies you to earn their business? And that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to earn people's business. And, you know, this is something that everybody kind of wants to know more or less. And so I'm going to talk a lot about books today, but a book is a great way. It's one way. It's one of the most powerful ways. But it's one way that you really answer that question, why you and not somebody else. When you become a published author, when you become a best-selling author, you know, you are looked at differently. You have separated yourself from the competition. You have separated yourself from a lot of people. And if you kind of go one step further, depending on the book that you have, you're going to even separate yourself from other types of authors. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. But let me hammer this point home here. You know, I did an article in the Beverly Hills Times Magazine that I called "Why or How Tom Hanks Taught Me to Sell." You know, how did he teach me to sell? You know, this is what I learned from Tom Hanks. And this is what you really have got to understand about his world for the last decade, maybe decade and a half. Tom Hanks doesn't audition. I mean, think about that for a second. He doesn't audition. You know, if you have got a movie, you know, you don't call up Tom and say, "Hey, Tom, why don't you come down and audition for me? And let's see if you're right for the role." Okay, you know, Tom doesn't do that. Tom doesn't come down and read lines from a script. If you want Tom Hanks, if you want him, you've got to go to his agent, send him a manila folder. Inside of it better be a blank check with a little note that says, "Go ahead and write in whatever amount you want and tell us when you're able to film, and you can have whatever it is that you want to do." And then, you know, Tom Hanks, but Tom Hanks doesn't have to audition, okay? He doesn't audition for parts or roles. You see, why is that? Because Tom Hanks has such a track record of success. He has sold so many movies. He has sold so many tickets. He has won so many awards that he has this body of work, right? He has social proof. And that's what it means to kind of be this icon in your industry. And so I like to get people thinking, what's your body of work? What kind of testimonials and endorsements do you have? You know, are you a published author? Have you won awards? You know, what separates you from everybody else? In my opinion, my goal with my clients, and even in my own life, is I never want to have to audition. You know, I might talk about the details, we might figure out how to structure a deal or something like that, but I should never have to prove to somebody, myself, how great I am. And see, that's one of the great things about a book. And that's where I kind of lead you to, is kind of thinking about this. This is what I call your icon solar system. This is your marketing universe, okay? This is everything. And if you just look at this, the most important thing in your marketing universe is a website, right? When you have a website, it's the sun in your marketing universe. Everything orbits around it. Everything is in its gravitational pull, okay? But the closest thing to a website, it's kind of Mercury over here, is published works. You know, having a book. Probably one of the biggest things out there is being on television. Where does everybody live nowadays? It's on social media. That's why it's planet Earth. But let's kind of look at this a little bit further. Yes, traditional media is huge, but how do you get on the traditional media? You want to have a book. A book is one of the biggest things that gets you on traditional media. You know, yes, you want to have a website, but you want to share content with them. Where does that content come from? What's going to help them opt in? What's going to help them get into your universe? Having a book. You know, a book is one of the best things for you to put online. The book cover, chapters of the book, literature forward, testimonials of your book. So, you know, I go into this thing in a very big way, but today I'm just focusing on books. And when we talk about books, books are really about developing your core story and attracting the people you love to serve. Think about that. What would your business be like? What would your day-to-day operations be like if you could develop your core story and attract the people you love to serve? That's what I help you do. That's what I help you do with your book. I wanted to really give you some nuts and bolts. I know there's a lot of webinars out there where people, you know, they speak very high and they speak very in theory. Yes, I needed to set up the foundation, but I want to give you really what the book business is, because there's a lot of misunderstandings out there. So this is a great image that really breaks it down. So you have your publishers out there, okay? Your publisher is the organization of record for your book, okay? So a Random House, a McGraw-Hill, Silver Torch, Simon & Schuster's, okay? But then you also have printers. And your printer isn't necessarily your publisher. Now, some big publishers will also print your books. But a lot of times nowadays, there are whole other companies that will print your book. That's like a 48-hour book. That's like a Bang or a Crate Space. You know, those are places that once your book is done, they will print it for you. Then you have your agent. So your agent is there to help you sell your book to a publisher and help you get the most money for your book. Very few people will have agents, but if you have an agent, that's what they do. That's what a literary agent will do, or what a book agent, you know, will do. They want to get you the best deal on your manuscript, and that's typically when you're going more of the traditional publishing route. Then you have distributors. Your distributors is like an Amazon, you know, websites. You know, it's the bookstore, it's the Barnes and Nobles. Maybe it's the gift shop at like a Marriott hotel. Maybe it's Walmart, you know, but those are distributors. Then you have publicists, and a lot of people will confuse like a publicist with an agent. An agent gets you the book deal, but a publicist gets you featured in the media. They get people talking about your book. They find all the angles in which you as an author are connected to what's going on in the news and media so that you can show up and be interviewed and pitch your book. You know, an editor is somebody who's going to work on the formatting, the grammar, the margins of your book, you know, the bleeds, you know, how's it laid out, what kind of fonts are used. Just like the cover is important, the inside needs to look professional. If you got the wrong font, you got the wrong size of font, if you're trying to make up a lot of space, if you're printing too big, if you're printing too small, if it takes up too much of the page, very quickly it can look bad. Designers, you know, the designer's the one that's going to do the front cover, the spine, the back cover. They got to put on the ISBNs. Even doing some of the inside of the book and the pictures and the images can be important. You know, writers, those are the people that obviously write the book. It can be you. You might have a ghostwriter helping you with the book. You might have research assistants. So as you can see, you know, there's a lot that goes into the book business. And sure, you can go out and, you know, write a bunch of stuff and throw it together and give it to a college kid and they'll edit it and boom, you got a book. And my thought is this: something is better than nothing. You know, the first book I ever wrote, you know, I'm trying to buy all those books back. You know, I'm trying to, like, I'll steal them off your shelf. You know, I'm not as proud as the first book that I did, or even the second book. Now, my last 2 or 3 books were amazing. But, you know, in the beginning, I just had to get a book. Something was better than nothing. An ebook is better than no book. A book that you wing it on is better than no book. A physical book is better than an ebook. A physical book with a good publisher is better than just a book by yourself. You know, a hardback book with a more successful publisher is better than just a regular paperback book, you know, doing it yourself. So, you know, you're always trying to do the best you can with the resources that you have available to you. As a matter of fact, I have an event coming up called the Icon Author Event. Roger will be there speaking a couple different times. But at this Icon Author Event, I'm going to go very in-depth. You know, how do you frame your stories? You know, the bottom line about a book is it's just a series of really well-framed thoughts, ideas, and stories. It's all about the framing. It's all about the positioning. It's all about the order of the content, intriguing and fascinating and teaching in a way that people, you know, want to listen and want to do more. Most people will never read past the first 30 pages or 3 chapters. So don't save the best for end. Okay, you got to have a great cover, and you better put your best stuff at the very front of the book. And I teach you all about that: the foreword, the acknowledgments, the about the author section. There's a lot that goes into making a book a very professional book. So, should you even write a book? This is the 3 questions that I use with people. First of all, does the world need the book? Second, are you the right person to author it? Third, are there multiple ways to make money from it? This is the best and fastest way. Okay, so let's take, for example, a book on the cure to cancer, right? Man, the world needs that book, okay? But I'm not the right person to author it. I've never had cancer. I've never survived from cancer. I'm not a doctor. I've never studied cancer. I've never studied alternative ways of cancer. So I'm not the right person to author. Now, are there multiple ways to make money from that book? Absolutely. Absolutely there is. So if the world needs it and there's multiple ways to make money from it, it means there's just no credibility. I have no credibility to write that book. You could write a book on little people selling El Caminos in Tucson. Okay, you know, does the world really need that? Probably not. There's such a small group of people. It's such a niche thing that the world probably doesn't need it. Are there a lot of ways to make money from it? Probably not. Am I the right person to author it? No. I don't know anything about El Caminos. I don't live in Tucson. So I joke around here a little bit, but these are important things to kind of think about. And you can even do well with 2 out of 3. But if you can nail all 3, you're really in a great position. So when it comes to how-to books, nonfiction books, think about that. You know, does the world need your book? You know, does your stories and experiences qualify you for it? There really are no new ideas out there for books. So why do people keep writing books about topics that have already been discussed? Really because it's their opinion. It's their stories. I mean, every year there's a handful of super all-star athletes that will write a book. And every single one of their books is the same. Life was hard. They practiced. They had a good coach. They had failure. They had obstacles. They overcame them. They had success. They had more failures and obstacles. They overcame them. They kept going. They learned. They became the best there ever was. Now, why will every year somebody read about the latest athletic superstar? Because we care about their story. We're curious about their story. Your stories, your experiences, your unique beliefs, and how they're supported by what you've gone through in your life, that's really what helps you make up your book. This is a picture of my family. This picture now is a couple years old. But you know, I draw from my family, from my stories. I have 8 children. You know, I'll talk about my children in my books. I'll talk about them in the things that I share. And although I'm talking about what I'm teaching them, there's parallels that can be drawn. This is another close-up of us here. My oldest is 19. As Roger said, he's a good friend of the family, knows them all pretty well. He's Uncle Roger. But you know, my oldest is 19. My youngest is 4. I've got 3 girls at the top, 4 boys after that, and then another girl at the very bottom. You know, here's kind of a success story here for you. You know, it's not uncommon for me to go on the media. It's not uncommon for me to do interviews. There's an art to doing that. That's another whole nother webinar. It's a whole nother presentation that I'll be giving at Icon Author Event. IconAuthorEvent.com is the website for that if you want to check that out. But the presentation is on, you know, do-it-yourself PR, how to be your own publicist, or how to get on television. And I've been on a lot of different programs. Matt Lauer of the Today Show, all the Fox programs, Neil Cavuto, all that. But in one of my TV interviews on entrepreneur education, that's kind of one of my main topics on national TV, is I was going to talk about something, and I had a cover made real quickly. This is the cover I had made. Just threw it together. And then I gave this cover before the interview, and I did a Fox interview. By the end of that interview, that book cover up on Amazon, with only that book cover up on Amazon, I became a bestseller. Now, this is an extreme example here, but this book helped me get onto television. I put the book cover up on television. I had never even written one word of this book. And I got a whole bunch of strategies about what you put in your book. So basically, I'll write a book, or I'll have an idea for a book. I'll have me or a publicist go to a TV network, and we'll say, man, you'll never believe what this guy said in his upcoming book. Okay? We'll be caught onto that. What he said in his upcoming book. I mean, the book hasn't even come out yet. And I'll say something controversial, or I'll say something crazy, or I'll say something newsworthy. In this case, I said I refuse to pay for my kids' college education, and that you know, a lot of kids don't belong in college, and some kids don't even belong in high school. You know, they should drop out. So you know, I'll say these controversial things. So they'll have me on television. They'll say, David, explain yourself, right? What's this new book you have coming out, and what are you saying in this book? This is dangerous stuff, you know. And so you know, I'll go on and do these interviews. So this was me on what's happening now, something kind of just the power of the book here. This is me on Neil Cavuto, father of 8, refusing to pay for children's college education, right? I've done several things with him, good guy. But, you know, I've leveraged my books. Now, I can show you other books. I've written a lot of other books, but I picked a book that isn't really leveraged in my business. You know, how I'm known in the business world is more of an icon builder. I got another book called Cracking the Icon Code. How to show up in life. I got another book called From Invisible to Invincible. You know, but I took this other book, you know, Guerrilla Parenting, and you know, I got a lot of press with it. And it's creative, it's different, the world needs it, I'm the right person to write it, and there's a lot of ways to leverage it or to monetize it. You know, here's me on Fox and Friends, you know, do-it-yourself dad, father of 8, shuns saving for college for kids, right? I'm the meanest dad in the world, right? But, you know, books can help you get in the media. They can help you get interviews. You know, and I'm not the only person. I'm going to show you some other examples and case studies of clients where I've helped them with their books, write their books, build their books. You know, here's the 5. You know, when you do your book right, kind of an interesting thing here for the 5. When you do your book right, you don't even have to be interviewed. I wasn't even available for this interview, Roger, and they still spent 5 or 6 minutes talking about me and what I was saying. They didn't even wait for me for the interview. So for 6 minutes, they did a segment about me and my book and these things I say and do, and I just got all kinds of press off of it. You know, here's me and my wife on the Today Show. Father of 8 refuses, right? You know, father refuses to pay for his kids' college education. I talk about entrepreneur education. I talk about you know, another way of making money and, you know, all that good stuff. Here's me on another show with my teen summer camps, and I've done stuff on how I run my house like a business, and I've even been on the Today Show in Sydney, Australia. But it all comes back to the book. You know, when we're pitching, the fact that I'm a published author, it's just that one more thing that puts me over the edge, right? It's just one more thing that puts me over the edge. Think about that. What's your message? What's your topic? What are some controversial things that you could preload into your quote-unquote manuscript just so that you can go out and say, well, here's what I'm claiming in my book. Here's what I said in my book. You know, reverse engineer the process. Some people, I'm searching through their books and saying, hey, what's the cool concept in here? What's the big quote in here? What's the controversial idea in here that I can go share? Sometimes I wish I could go back and change their book and have them say this one perfect line just so that I could leverage that line to get them on television. So, you know, one of the things we're going to do with this Icon Author event is help people write their book with the idea in mind, pre-engineering the book right from the beginning of how are we going to use this book to get you in the media? How are we going to use this book to book you for more speaking gigs? How are we going to do that? Here's a case study, one of my chiropractor clients. This is a book that we wrote for him. We actually did 3 different covers, one with a focus on the neck, one with a focus on the back, one with a focus on the knee. He has all 3 books in his waiting room. They'll say, you know, Dr. Yu, which book should I get here? They'll say, well, where's your pain at? He'll say, what's in my knee? And then he'll say, okay, hold up this book. Here's this book for you. But it's pretty much the same book. Every single book's the same book. But people like to feel like the book is written for them. So there's some strategy. Sometimes you might have more than one cover for your book. But this is my client, you know, holding his book up with Emmitt Smith, you know, former Dallas Cowboys player, and leveraging his book. This picture with his book and his waiting room, very powerful on his website. If he's going to go book media appearances, you know, he's going to use this picture. He's going to use this book to qualify. How many other chiropractors have this kind of social proof? This is what allows him to not audition. This is what allows him to just show the track record and social proof and body of work and kind of get past the gatekeepers. This here is a picture of Allison Larson there in the center. She was a little case study with Allison from Star, Idaho, population 5,000. Started working with me less than a year ago. Developed a brand for her, developed a website for her, developed a book cover for her. Leveraged that brand and book cover, got her to speak more, got her to come on some television shows. That turned into her finishing her book. That ultimately turned into her own cable TV show. What you're looking at is her cable TV show that we got for her. It's a California cable TV show. It goes out to about 1 million homes. It's Time Warner Cable, Verizon Fios, Channel 45. This is not a podcast. This is not an internet show. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Again, you do the best you can with the resources you have to work with. But this is Allison, within 6 months, having her own cable a TV show. That's how she leveraged her book, Soul Intuition. You can go to soulintuition.com and see more about that book and more about her. But that brand and that book is what got her those speaking opportunities. It got her those meetings. And ultimately got her a cable TV show. Pretty powerful, right, Roger?
Phenomenally powerful, because as you're talking about these people, some of them I know personally, like Allison over here. She's going to be speaking at the Author Summit as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. She'll be there at the author event as well. We'll have several of our successful people there. You know, and I'll kind of segue this into what I call power plays. You know, a lot of people, they get really out of order in their lives of how they prioritize. They think about, you know, long-term goals. You know, where do I want to be in 3 to 5 years? You know, where do I want to be in a year? I want to help people do power plays. What can they do in the next 3 to 6 weeks that can make them money or get them results? You know, what can they do, you know, right here, right now? What event can they plan? What book can they write? What joint venture can they accomplish? what is your next power play? And so what I'm teaching you in this webinar, and what I'm going to teach you even more at my Icon Author event, is the traditional publishing world versus the self-publishing world. What does it mean to do custom book publishing? How do you do a book launch? The last 3 books we did in a row, a bestseller campaign, all of them were bestsellers in multiple areas on Amazon. How do you track your book stats? How do you do great book covers? How do you do talking your book? How does book coaching work? How do you make money with your book? And that's a huge one. A lot of people get hung up like, how do I sell 1 million books? I want to shift your thinking to, instead of how do I sell 1 million books, how do I make $1 million with a book? Just that shift in mindset, just that shift in energy, you're going to have so much more success. You're going to have so much more prosperity in your life. So, these are some of the big publishers out there. There's some advantages to that. You're not going to have a lot of money. They're going to get you better distribution. The name recognition is going to be very powerful. Then there's kind of the self-publishing world. The self-publishing world is not as prestigious. You're going to pay more money up front. It's not going to have, the name recognition behind you. You're not going to have, distribution channels typically. So there's pros and cons to both. And so I kind of make this little grid here to give people a little bit of an idea. There's the positive traditional bookstores, distribution, credibility, less money to start. Negative, little support, less profit, little say, longer wait times. Self-publishing, bigger profit margin, more control, easier, faster. Downside for self, little exposure, bigger startup costs, less credibility, typically unprofessional. Go into this in great detail. I just want to give you guys some snaps, here. The publishing world, traditional, self-custom. I go into that a lot more at the Icon Author event. Book launch. We have what we call the 5 C's of launching. First, what's the concept of your idea? What's unique about it? How's it different? What are your stories? What are we going to sell it for? What's it going to turn into? I talk a lot about how to, what are your quotes and beliefs? How do you turn that into a blog or an article? How does a blog or an article become a chapter? How do those chapters become a book? How does that book then become a workbook by adding in exercises at the end of every chapter, a self-assessment test? Exercises that you can do interactively. You do those at the end of every chapter. Now it becomes a workbook. Now you develop a presentation based off your workbook and you record it. Now you've got a video. Now you record yourself or somebody else reading your book. Now you have audio. Now you just went from a book for $20 and being a published author to now having a home study course that you're selling for hundreds of dollars and maybe even $1,000. And again, it all kind of comes with that book. So at the Icon Author event, we're going to take you step from step. What's your belief? What's your quote? What's your meme? What's your slide? What's your article, your blog, your presentation? What's your chapter? What's your book? What's your workbook? What's your audio, video? What's your home study course? I mean, from A to Z, right? From start to finish, we walk you through step by step. But the idea here is, what are you giving to people? For example, if I walked up to a woman in the audience and I say, hey, I've got a brown paper bag for you, right? They'd be mildly curious. I'd probably come across as somewhat of a nice guy. Maybe they think I packed their lunch. I don't know. But they'd be mildly curious. But if I came up to that same woman in the audience and I gave her a Tiffany box, how much more excited would she be? A lot more excited. And I'll do this as a real exercise with an audience. I'll say, what would you do? I'll pick out a woman in the audience and I'm doing this, and they light up. Well, why? Because Tiffany's has a perception of value. They've never had a sale. Never. Their boxes, their bags are literally resold on eBay for hundreds and thousands of dollars because some guy wants to take some jewelry, throw it in a Tiffany box, and give it to their gal because they know that they're going to be that much more excited. And here's kind of my big breakthrough for you. A lot of you, you're walking around in a Tiffany box. Sorry, you're walking around in a brown paper bag. What I do is I put you in a Tiffany box. I get people excited about opening you up. I get people excited about the gift that you have for the world. I get people excited about your perception of value. You know, and that's kind of what your book cover is. Your book cover is the opportunity for you to give it in a Tiffany box. Nothing is more important than your book cover. You know, and there's a lot that goes into the font and the tagline, the image and the forward. I don't even have time to go over all this, but I'm going to teach this in extreme detail at the Icon Author event. You know, I'm really going to go through this and tell you, how do you create a great cover? Not just the front cover, but the spine, the back cover, all of it. I'm going to teach about split testing. How do you split test them? You know, so here's some examples of book covers, right? Something at the very top, maybe a forward or a testimonial, that you got your title, then you got your subtitle, then you got your name, maybe even have something underneath it. These are another one of my clients, Mel Cutler. He'll also be there at the event. Your title can be very ambiguous. Your subtitle should be very specific to what you're teaching. You know, here's a celebrity using a very popular movie in the 80s called Brad. You know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, does your picture go on the front? We talk a lot about that. Again, very top. Testimonial, forward, title, subtitle, your name. Back, here's some social proof. You know, we got Daniel Tosh from the Comedy Central TV show. He did this really funny, you know, back of the thing for his book. If you'd like to see more of Bill Allen, don't worry, you will. As long as I have a TV show, Crew Jones has a home. I love you, Crew. If he was hanging from a cliff and I was holding him with one arm and I was holding my girlfriend with the other, and I had enough strength to save them both, I would still let go of my girlfriend just so I could make sure I had a really good grip on Bill. I don't think he has that same girlfriend. So anyways, you know, but this is the kind of thing we do for people. You know, this is a Tiffany box. I mean, how does this position Bill Allen to have a book like this? You know, what kind of doors does it open for him? How good does it make him look? You know, here's another book cover. There's a lot of things that you can do to make them like other book covers, but to not cross that line. We talk about the legalities of different book covers. What book cover does this look like to you, Roger?
Which, of course, Mr. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits.
7 Habits of Highly Successful People, right? So you have to change enough things. You know, this is not 7 habits of highly anything. It's 7 habits of healthy, happy people. And we even change it to 7 secrets of healthy, happy people. And again, at the top, you know, a little bit social proof. You got your subtitle below there. You got her name, and then you've got a little bit about her below. Here's the final book cover there. They kind of came out. So this happened through the split testing. We did the split testing in 2 covers. This is what it turned into. Okay, that's kind of the final cover there. But doesn't that book look like a book cover right off a Barnes & Noble bookshelf? You see, Absolutely. You can be self-published, but your book shouldn't look self-published. Now, this book wasn't even self-published, but there it is. Here's another case study. This is, you know, these are all clients of mine. This one here is a dentist, a very successful woman dentist, grew up in Vietnam. Very amazing, cool story. She owns several practices now, runs the alumni group for UCLA for dentists. But, you know, this is a book we created for her. It's her story, from refugee to Renaissance woman. You know, now, in addition to being a dentist, she's coaching people. She's being paid all kinds of money to coach people and speak because of the book. That was the split test. That was the final cover of the book. Here's another one for real estate people. That's the split test. Another agent here who owns a Keller Williams franchise, book that we worked on for him. Era of the Entrepreneur. This is a guy who owns a bunch of franchises. He was just on the Steve Harvey show. They have what they call the Neighborhood Choice Awards. His restaurants just won in several different categories. He's up there with Steve Harvey holding his book, The Era of the Entrepreneur. You know, the book opens doors, people. It opens doors. You know, this cover also looks like another famous book if you think about it. You know, my book cover for one of my books, Cracking the Icon Code, it was good. It was okay. But after doing a lot of split testing, we had to change it and evolve more like this. You see the difference? You know, it's more in line with my brand, Beverly Hills feel, understated, sophisticated, classy. So we got a lot of books and a lot of book covers, and we show the split testing. Let me skip ahead to give you kind of some books by the numbers here. And I find that this part is what helps people the most. So here's just a ton of stats about books just to kind of help you understand. Typical book size is 5.5 by 8.5. Okay? That's the physical dimensions of the book. There's other sizes. You can have almost any kind of size you want, but that's the typical size of a book. 108 by 11 pages, so if you just get into Word doc and start typing out, 100 of those pages will convert to about 200 pages of your 5.5 by 8.5. So some people will write 50 pages in a Word doc and go, man, I only got 50 pages. Well, if you wrote it in a normal Word doc, you probably have 100 pages of a book. You're probably more than halfway there and you don't even realize it. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Average word count per page is about 250. Average page count per chapter is about 9 to 12 pages. One of the new strategies we're doing a lot is really fast chapters, 2, 3, 4 page chapters. It makes the book feel really fast. We talk about those strategies at the event. Average chapter count is about 12 to 15 chapters. Of course, unless you're making them smaller, it's going to be a lot more. Average page count for a book is about 200 pages. Which is about 30 to 40,000 words. So if you already started writing your book, you can also go into your Word doc and just do a word count. And if you've got about 30 to 40,000 words, you're pretty much there. You pretty much got a book. And I find that a lot of people are closer than what they think. Average time spent writing a book is about 100 hours. I've written a few books in 3 or 4 days, but I'm using articles I've already written. I'm sitting down with no interruptions, and I'm only writing. Typically, to write a book takes me a couple weeks. I've written a book as fast as 3 or 4 days. That's just a rough book, though. And it has to be edited. It has to be formatted. You got to get some other people looking at it. Average time spent editing and formatting a book is about 50 hours. Average printing cost of a paperback book, if you're printing at least 100, is about $5. Be a little less, a little more, depending on if you want color pictures inside and the thickness of the paper. But on average, it's about $5 a book. Average sale price of a book is about $19. Average sale price of an ebook is about $5. But the margins are going to be better on an ebook. So anyways, there's just a lot of stats on all of that. You probably didn't know that this much thought goes into it, did you, Roger?
Nope. That's what I wanted them to know. All the things. Like I always said, success leaves clues. So if you want to become successful, know what are all the different components behind the scenes, because this is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. And we go into great detail on this stuff. Every single one of these is conversations, and we give you printers that we use, and we give you different people that we use, and just, we roll it all out for you. But, there's a lot to writing a book. We break it down. A certain amount is inspiration, a certain amount is dedication, a lot of it is stories. Structure actually makes up very little, but we get into that structure, and it's very important. There is a lot to be said for ghostwriting. We have a Talk Your Book feature where we coach you, we get you on the phone, we interview you for your stories, for your beliefs, we record those interviews, then those recordings are then transcribed, and then the ghostwriter takes your stories and beliefs in the transcribed format, and they write your book. But it's really your book. It's your voice. It's your words. We're just putting it together in the form of structure. We're just putting it together. But you literally can talk your book. You can spend probably about 7 to 10 hours talking your book, and probably another 7 to 10 hours reading what we write for you and signing off on it, and your book is done in 24 hours or less. That's why we say to people, you can have a book in 24 hours or less. We specialize in people that don't have the time, the skill, or the patience. You might have the skill or the patience, but you don't have the time. You might have the patience, but you don't have the time or the skill. Whatever. But when people don't have the time, skill, or patience, we can do it for them. Now, we'll show you everything you need to do your book yourself. But at the end of the day, we have options where we can help you just get your book done, and there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot that goes into that process. I'll skip ahead to a slide here. Does the media want to interview you? Are your topics newsworthy? Are you fascinating? Do you have an expert status? That bottom right-hand image, do you have an expert status? A lot of times that's about you having a book. And your stories in the book is what can help you make you more fascinating. And if you have a book, now you can start to tie those topics to things that are going on in the news, and now you know how to get yourself onto television. There's so much more that goes into this, but you get kind of the idea. Here's more of me in the media. I won't go through a lot of this, but I've done a lot of these things. Making money off your book, uploading, displaying it, campaigns, affiliates. We're going to go into all of those things. Social media, clients. We're going to go into all the different places you can put your books. You can market your books. There's a lot that goes into it. I guess this is the last thing I'm going to show here, Roger. I'm going to close with this. I'm going to show you two concepts. How do you go from zero to hero in this business? If you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're a trainer, if you're in the advice business, meaning if you make money off the advice you give, you're a doctor, you're an attorney, you're a chiropractor, you're a plastic surgeon, all of those things. You're an attorney. If you're any one of those things, you make money off the advice you give. This is kind of how you go zero to hero. In the very beginning, you're developing your talents, you're improving your skills, you're learning how to provide solutions. If you do that well, you can go from learning to earning. You'll earn money, you can earn credit, you can earn venture capital. Once you do that well, you can really start to invest. You're going to want to save some of that money, but you're going to want to invest in yourself, and you're going to want to invest in your business. And that process just repeats itself. Let me show it to you in a different way. Exact same concept, zero to hero, right? It's the earn, invest, infinity roadmap. What does infinity mean? It never ends. It just keeps going. So what do? You earn money, you earn credit, you earn venture capital. You got to earn more than you owe. Very important part. You got to keep your costs low, earn more than you owe. You want to save some of the money you earn, but then you want to invest in yourself, invest in your business. You want to invest strategically in those areas. And if you do it right, you'll earn more money, you'll earn more credit, you'll earn more venture capital. You're going to want to earn more than you owe. You're going to want to be careful with that. You want to save some, and you want to invest in yourself. You want to invest in your business. You want to be strategic about what you invest in. Is it a website? Is it a book? Is it a brand? Is it in speaking? Is it in cruise? Is it in sponsorships? What are you going to invest in? You want to do it strategically, but if you do it right, you'll earn more money, you'll earn more credit. You get the idea. But I don't care if you're Mark Cuban. I don't care if you're Donald Trump. I don't care if you're Richard Branson. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Oprah Winfrey. Every single one of those people follow this format right here. They earn, they save, they invest strategically. It doesn't always work out for them, but they will make more than they will lose, and they will invest a portion of that back into themselves and back into their business. Some people are really good investing in themselves. Some people are good investing in their business. You got to invest in both. You've got to invest in both. And books is probably one of the best investments you can make in yourself and in your business. It's the ultimate business card. It opens a ton of doors. It gives you stuff online. It can help you get into the media. So this is one of those things that you want to really seriously think about. So what I did here, Roger, at the very end, I kind of put up this sort of secret link. It is iconauthorevent.com/free registration. We can push that out in an email as well. You can type it out. It's not a hard one to type out. But when you go there, you're going to see a screen, and I'm actually going to show you that screen right now. I've got that pulled up here. You're looking at my screen. I'll give you a second for the screen to catch up with me. But it's going to take you right here to this screen, iconauthorevent.com free registration, right here. This is it. I've got a bunch of things that we provide the people that are buying tickets. This is a $1,000 ticket event. They get a full-on home study course. They get all kinds of materials, video, audio, whatever. But I also created a way that people could just come watch, be a fly on the wall, and just participate in the event. So this free registration does not get you lunches and meals and audio and video and workbook. It doesn't get you that. But what it gets you is a seat at this event. So you can go to here, put in your information, who referred you, right? Just invited by. Put in Roger, put in Allison, put in Mel, put in whoever it was, but who invited you. You just fill out this form, hit submit, you're signed up for the event. The event is in Vegas. It's September 22nd through the 23rd. For some of the best of you, you're coming to the mastermind the day before that me and Roger are doing together. There's a mastermind on the 21st. If you think that you belong at that mastermind, you think you're ready to kind of play big, then you can send another email to Roger. He'll tell you how to get to that. It is kind of by invitation only, but some people are coming to that first bonus mastermind day on the 21st, But the author event starts on the 22nd, goes to the 23rd. It's in Las Vegas, and all the details are at iconauthorevent.com. So I'm going to switch screens. This is what the main website looks like right here. You're looking at the site. You'll want to go there because under location, all the information about the hotel, agenda, we got information about speakers and what they're speaking on. We got testimonials here, so you can kind of check all that out. Just scroll down. Why attend? Who attends? How do you enroll? All the information is on this website. And I'm scrolling down it because I want you to just sort of see some of the things that are on here. I got a lot of bullet points. Learn how to write from your heart, frame an idea worth sharing, capture attention, enrich souls with your writing, structure a story, develop sound bites inside. I mean, I'm not going to read all this, but you get the idea. I mean, this is very detailed stuff. How do you title a chapter, name an article? And it's not even just writing a book. How do you do a quote? How do you do a social media post? How do you do titles? How do you do sales copies? How do you write an ad? This author event is about writing, period. How do you have your own magazine? You know, how do you write a signature book, a digital book? How do you write a media pitch? You know, how do you write? How do you make your words come to life with visual aids like Venn diagrams, infographics, workflow charts, memes? It's all on here. It's all on here. How do you use descriptive words? How do you remove filler words? How do you get people's attention and keep their attention? Off to the side, you can see all these video testimonials on here. You can see clips from my TV show, from the media. I mean, there's just tons of stuff here, Roger. I mean, look at all this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there it all is. I just gave you a small glimpse. You're definitely going to want to go to the website, Icon Author Event, and check it out. If you want to get a free ticket, you know how to do the free registration. If you want to get into the mastermind, you know you got to send a separate email to Roger to see if you qualify. But this is an event that you do not want to miss. This is not a sales pitch fest of people getting up there. There are some special opportunities. There are some special promotions. Expect that. But there's also just a ton of training. There's me up there on stage for hours and hours just giving content. That's it. Thank you, Roger, for having me on.
Absolutely. So now you guys know that if you want to be an author, what it takes, and at least you have all the information, and if you come to Vegas, we'll have fun. And if you qualify for the mastermind, let me know if you want to attend the mastermind as well. We are doing these are part of our USA mastermind, and then we have international masterminds as well. So lot going on, but this is your starting point. That if you want to become somebody in your space, become an author, and this is a great place for you to get started. So let's thank David for taking his time, and I look forward to seeing you in Las Vegas. Go to this registration form, and David, can you put up the registration form okay, and that's the iconauthorevent.com/free-reg, FREEREG. So that's the website. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Thank you again, David.
You bet.
Goodbye.